Thank y'all for having me here this morning. I'm excited to be here and to speak to everybody today and to tell you a little bit more about me and why I'm running for governor. My background is a little bit different than those that are running this race. I've been running a business for the last 14 years of my life, and I've served one full term as a state representative. And I have a different perspective on our state government and where we are and where we should be going. I have built up a small business in North Mississippi in Hernando. It's an agritourism operation. We grow berries, we grow pumpkins, we grow Christmas trees. We're best known for our corn maze in fall season. It's an agritourism operation that brings in people from all over the Mid-South. And it's a U-Pick farm, an entertainment farm. We host corporate picnics, family reunions, weddings, receptions. And I have built that business up over the last 14 years to a point that it's now grown into almost a big business to me anyway. We had 99 W-2 employees last year. I had over 50 additional seasonal part-time workers. And we had over 50,000 visitors come through my farm just during my fall pumpkin patch and corn maze season. And so it's grown into a very large operation with a lot of moving parts. And I tell you all that to tell you this, that I've listened to all the different people working for me over the years. People that are still in high school to professionals that have a four-year professional degree or even a doctorate that are out working on the weekends in some cases just trying to get by. They're working their second or third job in a lot of cases. And I've listened to the issues that have faced them. And I've listened to the people of this state the last 7 months as I've traveled all over this state. I've been to many of your towns and areas of the state. I haven't made all of them yet. It just hasn't been time to hit everything. But I'm working all over the state to listen to the people of our state, and the stories are the same. Everybody just wants a good paying job. They want a good education for their children, and they want access to affordable health care. And part of the problem Mississippi has had for so long is that we've lacked in those three areas, and it's holding back the rest of our state's economy. And I have a plan that I think will help with some of that. And I think having a plan is important. I think having some policy laid out there to try to get us from point A to point B, which is what I do in my business. When I see my business grow and prosper, I make a plan and I try to execute that plan. I think that's a big step. And one thing that I'm proposing that we change in Mississippi is our educational system. We have put our children on this one-track path to college for almost 2 generations now, and it's been an absolute failure because everybody's not meant to go to college. We need to have opportunities in every single high school in this state for vo-tech and career tech fields and opportunities for them to learn a trade where they can get out in the world and earn a good living for themselves and for their families and to break the cycle of poverty for so many. Because it doesn't matter how many tests we make them take or how many classes we force them to sit through. In the end, only a small number of people are going to go to college, and the reality of the situation is that the economy always has and always will be needing more skilled labor than it needs college professionals. So we've got to get back to the basics of teaching our children how to work again and get all of this over-testing out of our schools because we're ruining the teaching profession and we're ruining the educations of our children. The other thing that I'm proposing that's such a big change for Mississippi, but we have to think long term. We have to have a plan to get our roads and our bridges fixed, to fund our police stations, our fire stations, our Department of Mental Health, to get our teacher pay up. We have to have a plan to do that. We can't just promise everybody we're going to do it. We have to actually have a plan to do that. And I do have a plan to do that. Just like in my business, I didn't invent growing Christmas trees. I didn't invent growing blueberries or blackberries or hosting corporate picnics or catering. But what I did do is I went to people that were experts in those things, people that had been doing it for 20, 30, 40 years or longer, and I learned from them so that I didn't have to reinvent the wheel and start over from scratch and make all the mistakes that they had already made in their lives. I picked up where they left off and I put together all those ideas into a new business model, a model based off of agriculture but entertainment side, and it has grown into a very large operation and has been very successful. And we need to do the same thing in our state government. We don't have to reinvent the wheel and to get our economy growing. We just have to look at states that are doing things much better than us and copy some of the policy decisions that they've made and implement those in Mississippi. And the same thing goes for our tax policy. We have one of the worst tax policies in the United States of America. And the Tax Foundation's latest rankings, we were ranked 31 of 50 for business friendliness in industry. We overtax the working people and the successful people of our state, and they're leaving our state. We have a very hard time competing with states like Tennessee, Texas, and Florida because their tax structures are all ranked in the top 20. We're ranked in the bottom 20 down with California, New York, and New Jersey is overtaxing the working people and the successful people of our state. And it puts our cities and our counties in a bad position because the only form of taxation that counties have at all is ad valorem taxation. And the cities only get 18.5% of the sales tax revenue that y'all get, that y'all send back to the states. So we have got to get away from what I'm proposing is to repeal the personal income tax, completely do away with it over an 8 to 10 year period, and move to a straight use and sales tax based economy like they have in Tennessee, Texas, and Florida. And a big part of that is going to be giving our local cities and counties the option to be able to have infrastructure projects put before the people and say, we need to build these bridges, we need to build these roads, we need to do this sewer project, we need to do this in order to make our city grow and prosper, and to put it before the people and allow the people to decide if it's a worthy project or not. That has got to happen if we're going to get our state moving the right direction economically. And so it's a more conservative way to tax because it's a use tax. You let everybody in this state pay their fair share because there's a very small percentage of people paying into the income tax. But everybody in this state would then be paying their fair share at the pump. Whether you're an illegal alien, you haven't got caught and thrown out yet, whether you're a drug dealer on the corner, you're going to pay your fair share when you go to the gas pump and when you go to the store. The income tax is a big burden on a very small number of people, and it's not going to ever keep up, and we're going to be at a disadvantage to states around us until we fix that. And the last thing I want to mention while I'm here is why did I decide to run for governor after only one term as a state representative? Everybody wants to know, why not wait 8 years or 16 years or 20 years until you have better political capital, until you have more campaign finance funds? Well, I saw very quickly the problems facing our state as a first-term state representative, and I have solutions, I believe, to help with many of those problems. And I didn't want to wait 16 or 20 years because it would drain my passion, because it drains anybody's passion the longer you're in that system. Everybody here that served understands the grueling nature of being in politics, and your passion's not the same as when you go in as when you come out. And I wanted to run now while I have the passion to fight for the people of our state. And I wanted to run now while I don't owe anybody anything, because I don't. I haven't made any promises to anybody, and I'm not beholden to any donations. And if you will honor me with your vote on August 6th, this is the only promise I will make, that I will put God first in everything that I do, and I will do what is in the best interest of all Mississippi. Now may God bless these United States, and may God bless the state of Mississippi. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here with you today. I want to first take a moment here today and recognize someone who has been working very, very hard on behalf of our municipalities and our cities and our towns over the last 4 years in his tenure in the Mississippi State Senate. A former alderman in the town of Guntown, Senator Chad McMahon, is here with me today. He's the Vice Chairman of Municipalities in the Mississippi Senate. Certainly someone who understands our efforts and has been instrumental in carrying your banner over the last 4 years, and I know he will continue to do so. So Senator McMahon, good to see you here. I'm running for governor of Mississippi because I believe in Mississippi. Ely and I both were raised in small towns in Mississippi. We both went to public high schools in Mississippi. We then went to Mississippi colleges. We graduated and got Mississippi jobs. I'm running for governor because I want my 3 little girls, and I want your kids and your grandkids to have those same opportunities. Mississippi's strength comes from the strength of our small towns. I'm proud of our identity as a state that values and protects the people that are too often forgotten in the national conversation. We are made better by the men and women who inhabit and lead our towns. And you deserve a governor who will fight for you every single day. That's what I will do. As governor, I will compete with every state in this country and every country around the globe to bring more manufacturing, to bring more industry, and to bring more quality jobs to towns across our state. I believe that we can compete with anyone. Mississippi's workers are capable, and our state is equipped for success. As we build on the growth of the last 8 years, we need a governor that will spend the next 8 fighting to win more quality jobs for our people. Part of the governor's job is to listen and to support the people on the front lines of this work. All of you are close to your communities and working hard every day to represent them well. You have wisdom and knowledge that is essential to this effort. As Lieutenant Governor, I've worked hard to deliver the tools that you need to succeed. I've been honored to support the Small Municipalities and Limited Counties Population Grant Program. We've authorized almost $20 million for this program during my time as Lieutenant Governor, and I look forward to working with you over the next 8 years to authorizing much, much more. We've started the process of rebuilding our infrastructure across the state, and through the Mississippi Infrastructure Modernization Act, we created a new permanent revenue stream. And we did so in a way that recognized that the bulk of our challenges from an infrastructure standpoint are actually in rural counties and in our municipalities. That's the reason we supported the diversion of the use tax as supported by the Mississippi Municipal League. That's the reason we supported the diversion of the use tax back to our local communities after in the Mississippi Senate having supported the effort for 4 different times in 4 different years to increase the diversion of the sales tax from the current 18.5% to 20% back to the cities. But we did more than just generate $200 million more a year. We also recognize your importance in the process, and we were honored to support the effort to give the Mississippi Municipal League a seat on the board of the advisory committee that oversaw the first $250 million in emergency road and bridge repair funds. We've been able to make these new investments without raising anybody's taxes on the citizens of this state, because we know that retaining our status as a low-tax state is critical for our long-term economic success. A quick fix is no replacement for fiscal discipline. I'm happy to tell you that Mississippi is in the best financial shape we've ever been in. Mississippi is in the best fiscal shape that we have ever been in. When I walked in the door as State Treasurer in January of '04, Mississippi had $13 million in our rainy day fund. Now don't get me wrong, 13 million bucks would be a whole lot of money if it were in my personal checking account. But when you run a $20 billion a year operation, as state government is, 13 million bucks is just a pittance. That's why I'm happy through fiscally responsible policies that we've been able to increase our rainy day fund from the $13 million that was in it in January of '04 to a number as of June 30th of this year, once we finish our fiscal year, that will exceed $450 million set aside for a rainy day. Because the thing that we know better than most, and particularly down here on the Gulf Coast after having survived Hurricane Katrina, the thing that we know better than most is that whether it's an economic disaster or a natural disaster, there are always going to be days that rain in Mississippi. And you deserve a state government that is prepared for it. I'm here to tell you today that because of the leadership of Governor Bryant, whose support I'm honored to have in this campaign, because of his leadership and that of the conservative members of the Mississippi House and Senate, we are now prepared better than at any time in our state's history. As the leaders of your communities, I know that you agree we must do everything in our power to create more commerce and give our constituents more spending power. That's the reason I oppose new taxes and why I have worked to create an environment where investment can occur without raising the tax burden on our citizens. If we're going to recruit more business and industry into our communities, I will tell you they are not going to locate in areas where they're not fiscally sound. The reason they're not going to locate there is because small businesses and large businesses alike look at taxes as nothing more than a cost of doing business. And if it costs them more to do business in your jurisdiction or in our state than it does somewhere else, they're going to locate somewhere else. It's critical that we maintain our status as a low-tax state. We've supported, over the last 8 years, the Rural Fire Truck Program, delivering over $20 million to this vital services in our rural areas across the state. I have consistently supported MDA bond programs like the Development Infrastructure Program, the Economic Development Highway Program, and the ACE Fund. This year alone, we invested $50 million in our ACE funds to help bring business and industry to communities throughout our state. We have supported the Small Municipality and Limited Population Grant programs, as well as community heritage preservation grants. These are all vital programs that will continue and grow as more enterprise leads to more economic growth throughout our state. You also know that it's not all about spending. We can support the integrity of the home rule and encourage greater transparency in state government. We can build on the work that we have started together, and we can continue to grow as a state. Over the last 3 months, I have been in many communities around our state, and in many of them, I've had the opportunity to host economic development roundtables with government and business leaders in communities across Mississippi as part of our campaign. And there's been one idea that has really been garnering a lot of interest. We know that throughout our state, priorities are different. We cannot grow in one region. We need to lift up all of Mississippi. That is why, as governor, I will not have one economic plan for our state, but I will have 9 different economic plans that recognize what's best for the Mississippi Gulf Coast and what's best for DeLo may not be the same. And we need an economic plan that addresses both. I believe that we can continue to do great work together. I believe that Mississippi's best days are ahead of us. I believe that Mississippi is on the rise and our state is on the right track. I believe that we must do more work and make tough decisions to continue to compete. I am glad that we have you as partners in this work. I know that together we can continue to help families and communities across our state grow. We can continue to make Mississippi a place that our children and our grandchildren are proud to call home. I look forward to working with all of you to help make that happen. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be with the Mississippi Municipal League today. Thank you, and may God bless the great state of Mississippi.
Great to be with you on the coast. Now, I know, governor's a pretty hard job, but there's nothing like a mayor. Now, I'm going to tell you that. One mayor was telling me coming in, he said, man, it's terrible. I said, what's going on? He said, we have a meeting, and this lady in the back of the room, every time we have a meeting, she stands up and she makes faces at me. He says, it's hard enough, dealing with the alderman and the business and all this and all that. And I said, that's terrible. And he says, the worst part of it, that lady's my wife. Folks, Bill Waller running for governor, and I tell you, I want to be the chairman of your Chamber of Commerce, of the mayors of the state of Mississippi. I think we need hope. We need promise. I want to start with our teachers. Folks, we've got a problem right now. We had a teacher pay, an election year teacher pay, and we still are the last in the nation. Now, we've got to do better than that, and the problem is we've got over 1,000 vacancies statewide, and if we don't step up to the plate, we're going to have problems. And I know in your cities, there's few things more important than a strong school system. You talk to the teachers, they need to teach, they need counselors to back them up, and so I'm going to pledge to use your Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to do what I can as a priority to get the teacher pay, whatever we can do every year until we get to the southeastern average. And folks, we've got to reinvent education. We've got to get education back to what you remember when we had a good career plan for those that didn't want to college. It's having an academic track is good for those that go to college, but the 2/3 that don't want to or don't need to, or can't afford to, we need to have a good paying job out of high school, not college, not junior college, high school. And we need to drill down into that. Man, I've seen some programs I've seen over in Vicksburg. They got barge lines, they got apprenticeships in high school. I've met with Pascagoula. They've got Chevron's got internships in high school. We've got to keep our people in the community. So as your Chamber of Commerce, I'm going to work on education that's going to strengthen your community. The heart. Every viable community has got a good hospital, right? You have to have one. We've got 115 spread across our state. Folks, you can't get jobs, you can't do anything if you don't have a good health care system in your community. I met with Hudson Holliday, who I served in the Guard with in Poplarville. We sat across the table. He said, Bill, I had a heart attack. My wife got me to the emergency room. They stabilized me, airlifted me to Forest General. He said, had we not had an emergency room and a hospital in Poplarville, I would have died. I'm a right-to-life person. We got to have good medical care, and the truth is our hospitals are hemorrhaging. We've got 31 of our rural hospitals right now in danger of closing. And folks, mayors, you know the need of that. You know what we have to have. Well, we can do something creative. It doesn't cost any tax money. We can do Medicaid reform. We need to do it differently than before. We need to have conservative principles. We need to incentivize people to go to work. Where if you're at this level, you don't work, you get benefits. You're at this level, part-time worker, seasonal worker, you don't get benefits. We need to change that paradigm. We need to incentivize workers. And folks, we can do it tax neutral. We can bring $1 billion a year to that 115 hospitals, to over 60,000 employees that work in the hospitals in your communities. To have good jobs in your communities, to make sure we have good health care in your communities so that you can prosper and be the community and attract the businesses and keep our children and grandchildren there working in the hospital and going to the hospital. So the health care is very important. And I know the overlays are just limitless. If you can raise the level of eligibility, this is additional care for mental health. It's additional care for drug and alcohol addiction that the federal government's paying and we're not paying. Folks, we need the help. So it's a no-brainer. We've got to look at the table. If we can do it budget neutral, there's no reason for us not to do it, just like Mike Pence did in Indiana, just like they've done in Louisiana. 37 states now, folks. It's too much money for us not to look at it. Third thing, roads and infrastructure. No community can exist without roads and infrastructure. The bill passed in the special session for the cities, the diversion off its sales tax. They call it use tax, it's sales tax. So instead of your percentage coming from 100% of the sales tax, you're getting your percentage for the cities on 65% of the sales tax. And by the way, the money for the roads and bridges, you got to match 50%. Folks, we've got to rethink things. We've got to do better. We've got to do broader. And by the way, the state part of that is from the lottery, which hasn't started yet, and which goes back to the general fund now in 9 years. So the top projection is $80 million, but it's probably going to be something less than that. And folks, we can't build roads, maintain bridges with that type of structure. We're going to have to do something big. We're the last state in the South to address the road problems. It's been 32 years since we've had a comprehensive road and bridge program that we've got to have, and that money won't fix the bridges. You know, you've got your cities and your towns, but if you don't have the state roads linking your cities and towns, you don't have anything. And I've talked to the Jones County Superintendent of Education. He has to give vouchers to some of his parents for the children to come to school. Is a sweet potato farmer in Vardaman. He can't get to his crops on the other side of the little Tallahatchie because of the bridges have been posted. So we've got issues like this across the state. We've got to move now. We've got to get money circulating in the state part of it. The cities and counties get money, full money off the use tax. We've got to look at that. I'm conservative on that. Maybe there's a way we can offset an increase in fuel tax with an income tax swap or sales tax on groceries or license tax. We need to be creative, but we've got to have a big, bold program with a dependable revenue stream that helps everybody, the state roads, county roads, and city roads. So we've got to address the infrastructure in a significant way. So, your Chamber of Commerce, I've been Chief Justice the last 10 years, head of a branch of government. That's unique. I have been honored to serve the court and be the spokesman for the court as we brought in an e-filing system across the state that didn't cost the taxpayers anything. And we have brought drug courts across the state, which has saved the state millions of dollars, and more importantly, has joined families together and has returned people to the workforce. Chief, I've been a justice for 21 years, so I understand the problems. I've reviewed the annexation cases. I understand the issues that you have, the needs to grow, and what you have to deal with. I've been a city judge. I've worked in a city, and I understand the problems you have in collecting those fines that you need so much. The drug courts has helped with that. We make that a condition of the people in the program to repay their fines. We can be creative and do other things than the tax bill. I've been 29 years in the National Guard. The governor is the commander-in-chief of the National Guard. I've been at tornadoes and ice storms and other civil emergencies. I understand the role of the first responders and the need to support your police chiefs and your municipalities in getting business back going and getting generators in place and meeting those needs that you have. I think that's an important skill set, and I've been in the private practice of law. Lastly, and for your policemen, we've got to have a crime lab that provides timely support to your policemen. It's unacceptable to wait 2 years for an autopsy or 8 months for a drug report to come back. We have got to fund it. We've got to provide the support they need, and also for your police forces, that they've got seats at the academy, that we can support that vital need that you have. So I'm Bill Waller, candidate for governor. I want to be the chairman of your Chamber of Commerce and help you, the cities, and I'm so honored to be here. God bless you. God bless the United States. God bless the state of Mississippi. Thank you.